All right, we do need to get serious for a little while here because we're talking about depression and anxiety, two very serious subjects. It's not just something that adults experience. You know that. You've heard about it on this program. In fact, it's becoming so common in younger people that the American Academy of Pediatrics now suggests family doctors screen teens for suicide risks. So are more teens suffering from depression, or is it just being diagnosed more? Time to ask an expert, and Justine Froelker is just that. She's from JBF Therapy and Coaching. She is a licensed professional counselor, and she joins us this morning for a very serious subject. And I know a lot of people have been through this, and it has been a topic of discussion. My concern about this is that a lot of people are under the impression that if there are any signs of depression in their kids, that a counselor or advisor at school will or a teacher will immediately pick up on it and phone them and say you need to get, and that's not the case.
Our teachers and counselors are overworked.
They try their best.
They try their best, and so they have a lot of kids to watch, and so I think mom and dad, people at home are the best. They see the most.
Of course, and our kids have become very good at masking those issues.
Oh, absolutely,
as well.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the big signs and symptoms are really, they're not that different from what we see in adults, like kind of loss of interest in things, withdrawal, change in sleep, so it could be too much or too little sleep, change in appetite, too much or too little, same with weight, things like that. It can just be that overall sadness, but I think ultimately, trust your gut. If something's off, talk. Like talk to your kids about it. And it could be anxiety and or depression. I see that in my office a lot, that because the statistics, I looked them up this morning, like 20% of teenagers suffer from depression. I think pretty low. That's really low. And then it also says only 10% with anxiety. I think that's very, very, very low. I see a ton of anxiety in my office with teenagers. But I think oftentimes too with teens, it's a chicken or the egg. Which is coming first, the anxiety or the depression, and there's one of them covering up the other one. So I see that a lot, that she's so anxious, but really the anxiety it's a symptom of the depression, or vice versa.
And it compounds as they get older too. That can be the problem, and it just so many problems with the root of anxiety and depression when they get older, that they just can't cope.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of reasons as to why. We have that argument a lot. Do we have more? Is it higher rate, or is it just being diagnosed more? We have the names for it. We have the medications to treat it.
What do you think about that? Is it diagnosed more, or is it?
I mean, it's absolutely, yeah. We like our labels, but there's a lot of hope in a label. If I can say, like, I'm going to diagnose her with anxiety today, that can provide some hope to a family of like, okay, we've got a thing. Now let's treat it. What do we do about it? So like, but it can still have a really negative social stigma. It's still It's very treatable. Both anxiety and depression, very, very treatable. If not curable for some people, because there's multiple causes to it. Is it they're way too busy, they struggle with coping skills? Technology plays into it, whether or not we like to think of it. It also can help it, but it can really play into it. Peer pressure, pressure at school, pressure of sports. But then you also got genes.
All of those combined sports.
Right. And then you got genetics. Yes.
Predisposed. But don't you think that there's some denial with some parents that they would, my son could never be depressed because that means I'm a bad parent?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's wrong, but don't you think there's some denial out there as well?
I think there's definitely some denial. There's fear. What does it mean? I also just think we kind of have this, just get it done. Like, just pick yourself up, dust yourself up, and like power through it. Like, just figure it out. No, you're going to go get the A. You're going to not quit the baseball team, all of those things. Because it's really scary to be vulnerable, to be able to sit down in front of our child and say, like, what's up? Like, you seem really sad. Can you tell me about that? Because that's really scary. And
but how do you get them to talk to someone else about it?
A lot of times they're more comfortable talking to me than mom and dad.
But how do you convince them of that? That's the challenge, isn't it?
I think that is the huge challenge. I think the biggest thing is, well, one, you're the parent, so they don't really have much of a choice. I think that's a big, and I say that to my teenage clients all the time. I will say, okay, here's the deal. You like coming here, right? Yeah, I like coming here. But you're not doing anything I'm asking you to do. Mom and dad aren't going to pay for you to come here. So like, you have to help me help you.
Getting in there to begin with is the tough part.
It's the tough part, but they want to feel better too.
Get counseling if you have any suspicions at all. Justine's always writing about some great topic on her blog, and we've posted a link to it and her website on greatdaystlouis.com. Thank you.
Thank you.